And it's not just about my character, it's about their character. And who wants to run deep here?
The news hit like an earthquake in the reality TV world, shaking the foundation of a family that once stood as a public symbol of unity. In a stunning legal showdown, Sister Wives star Kody Brown has been brought to his knees, facing a judgment that could dismantle everything he's built. The court's ruling was crystal clear. Janelle Brown and Meri Brown's properties are to be returned, effectively ending Kody's long-running game of control. For years, the empire he meticulously managed, the life he carefully crafted, was untouchable. But now, the walls are crumbling, and the truth is finally catching up to him. For Janelle, the moment was bittersweet. She had poured her money, her time, and her loyalty into Kody's vision, funding family businesses, buying land, and even purchasing houses under promises that she would one day call them hers. But when she finally stepped back and looked at her life, the reality hit her like a cold wind. Nothing was in her name. She had been building someone else's dream while her own security slipped through her fingers. The court's decision wasn't just a win. It was validation for every sacrifice she had made, for every night she had gone to bed wondering if she'd ever be truly free. Meri's journey was different, but no less painful. She was there. At the beginning, Kody's first wife, the woman who had believed in the dream when it was still nothing more than an idea. She had endured years of being pushed to the sidelines, watching as Kody and Robyn built a life that seemed to erase her existence. But this time, she was not fading quietly into the background. This time, she was reclaiming what was hers, piece by piece, after years of silent endurance. The court's ruling was more than property. It was a piece of her dignity returned. Across town, Kody sat in disbelief. The once proud leader of multiple families now reduced to a man alone, staring into the wreckage of his own creation. He had always believed that his wives would never question the system he had designed, that his leadership was beyond challenge. But one by one, they had walked away, and now the law itself had stepped in to finish what they started. The power he had so confidently wielded was slipping from his grasp, and with it, the identity he had built his entire life around. From a quiet distance, Christine watched with a knowing smile. She had been the first to leave, the first to see, the cracks forming in the perfect facade. Long before anyone else, she had sensed the shift in Kody's attention, the slow erosion of equality in the family. Walking away had been her act of self-preservation, and though she had carried herself with grace, she knew deep down she had escaped just in time. Now, watching Janelle and Meri not just survive but win, she couldn't help but feel pride. It was a victory she wished she could have claimed years ago. In her own home, Robyn Brown sat in silence, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. For years, she had been Kody's unwavering ally, the wife who stayed when the others walked away. She had always believed their bond was unbreakable, their love strong enough to face any storm. But as she watched the court's decision unfold, a gnawing question took root. If Janelle and Meri could win, what would stop someone else from doing the same? Was she truly safe, or was she only delaying the inevitable? The reaction from Sister Wives fans was swift and passionate. Social media lit up with a mix of shock, satisfaction, and even celebration. For over a decade, they had watched this family's itama journey. The highs, the lows, the betrayals, and the reconciliations. But this felt different. This wasn't just another family dispute. This was the collapse of an empire built on a fragile foundation, a cautionary tale of what happens when too much power rests in one person's hands for too long. The Brown family home, once a bustling hive of activity and noise, now stood eerily still. Kody found himself sitting alone, staring at what remained of his once grand dream. The court's decision had permanently altered the family dynamic he had fought to preserve. He had believed that his authority would keep everyone together, but in the end, it was that very control that had driven them apart. Regret seeped in. Maybe he should have listened more, compromised more, treated his wives as equals instead of subordinates. But regrets, like the past, could not be changed. The ruling was final, and there was no going back. For Janelle and Meri, the future suddenly felt wide open. They were no longer just ex-wives reclaiming property. They were women reclaiming their independence, their security, and their sense of self. Their legal battle might be over, but the shift in power it created would leave a lasting mark on the sister wives story. Christine, watching from afar, smiled again. Perhaps now, other women in similar situations would find the courage to stand up for themselves, inspired by the victory they had witnessed. The plural marriage world would never be the same. The Brown family had once been seen as a model of polygamy in modern America, but now they stood as a warning. For Kody, the game was over.
Is Robin the favorite wife?
You know, that's the most unfair question because you don't have any idea.
What began as a tale of unity has transformed into a story of self-reliance, tenacity, and the relentless pursuit of justice. And in the middle of it all, there's Christine Brown, a woman whose journey has been nothing short of fascinating. At 52, Christine is a proud mother of 6, a woman who once lived within the complex and often suffocating confines of a polygamous marriage to Kody Brown. She shared her life, her home, and her husband with Meri, Janelle, and Robin Brown, navigating the tangled emotional web that comes with such an arrangement. I'll admit, in the early days, Christine didn't win me over. On screen, she sometimes appeared resentful and jealous of Kody's other wives, and I found it difficult to warm up to her. She seemed self-focused, unwilling to extend much effort toward building genuine bonds with Meri and Robin. But over the last 5 years, something shifted. Christine revealed a depth and maturity I hadn't expected, proving that her earlier portrayal was just one piece of a much larger, more complicated puzzle. It became increasingly clear to me, and to many fans, that Kody himself was the root cause of much of the family's tension. The self-proclaimed patriarch was never truly a good husband to Christine, Meri, or Janelle. His devotion seemed almost entirely reserved for his youngest wife, Robin. For years, Christine endured the imbalance, but in 2021, she shocked the world by walking away. She didn't just leave a marriage, she left behind years of tradition, expectations, and limitations. In a bold and life-changing move, Christine married her soulmate, David Woolley, relocated to Utah, and launched herself into a new chapter as a social media influencer and businesswoman. The past few months have seen her sharing bold, unapologetic posts online, celebrating both personal victories and professional milestones. She's expanded her rental business, partnered with VBO to grow her presence in Moab, and even opened a new property in Hurricane, Utah. Through it all, David has been a constant, supportive force by her side. Together, they've built a relationship that is refreshingly transparent and deeply loving, a stark contrast to the secrecy and inequality of Christine's past. Their Instagram posts, filled with warmth, humor, and authenticity, regularly rack up tens of thousands of likes and comments. Fans aren't just watching, they're invested. Frankly, Christine and David's story feels tailor-made for television. A spin-off focusing on their marriage, their blended family, and their new life could easily captivate audiences. If TLC isn't ready to give them that platform, there are plenty of other networks, and even the possibility of Christine and David creating their own digital series. With their popularity and devoted fan base, they'd have no trouble attracting viewers. As Sister Wives approaches its 20th season, it's impossible to ignore the shifting dynamics of the Brown family. The original premise centered around Kody, the polygamist patriarch, and his 4 wives, Robin, Christine, Janelle, and Meri, raising 18 children across 4 separate households. The show offered a rare glimpse into the struggles and sacrifices of plural marriage, and for a while, it worked. Kody was positioned as the central figure, the glue holding the family together. But over the years, that glue dissolved. His deepening connection with Robin led to accusations of favoritism, jealousy, and neglect. His relationships with several of his adult children crumbled. His marriage to Meri disintegrated, and after Christine's shocking departure, Janelle and Meri eventually followed suit. Today, Kody is legally married only to Robin. His interactions with his children and ex-wives are minimal. In my view, the future of Sister Wives depends on shifting the spotlight away from him and toward the women who are now forging independent lives. Watching Christine heal from the wounds of her marriage, break away from her religious roots, and embrace her autonomy has been nothing short of inspiring. Janelle and Meri, too, are writing new chapters. Janelle has invested in property in North Carolina, while Meri is channeling her energy into her business, Worthy Up. These women no longer orbit Kody's world. They're building their own. Viewers deserve to see these stories unfold, the long-term effects of polygamy, the emotional cost of leaving, and the courage it takes to start over. Meanwhile, Kody's role in the show has grown increasingly uncomfortable to watch. During COVID-19, his strict and isolating rules fractured the family further. His unwavering preference for Robyn alienated him from his other wives and children. Even now, he shows little accountability for the damage he's caused. He and Robyn seem trapped in a cycle of resentment and isolation, rarely engaging with the rest of the family. The truth is, the Brown family's fractures have made sister wives more compelling than ever, but not because of Kody. Fans want the behind-the-scenes truths, the raw and unfiltered moments from Christine, Janelle, and Meri. They want to see how these women rebuild their lives without the man who once dictated so much of it. In my opinion, the wisest move would be for Kody to step into a supporting role and allow his ex-wives to lead the narrative. He is no longer the center of this family. In fact, he is the reason it has splintered. The show has had an incredible run, but there's a danger in dragging it out past its natural endpoint. To end with dignity, sister wives may need to close this chapter soon. Season 19 has been marked by tension, particularly over the family's Coyote Pass property. Meri and Janelle have clashed with Kody and Robyn, while Christine and David quietly continue to flourish. The series is evolving rapidly, and it's entirely possible it will take on a very different form if it continues. Kody's divorces have already reshaped the story. Now his strained relationships with his ex-wives could dictate the show's future. I've loved Sister Wives for years and would be thrilled to watch it indefinitely. But I also believe there's beauty in knowing when to step away. The show has forever changed reality television, offering unprecedented access to the intricacies of plural marriage. It has sparked conversations about love, faith, autonomy, and the cost of living within and breaking free from such a system. While season 19 remains engaging, much of the focus now is on Kody's divorces, rather than on the plural lifestyle itself. Yes, the betrayals, secrets, and shifting alliances are captivating, but the series can only lean on them for so long, before it begins to feel repetitive. Whether Sister Wives continues or concludes, one thing is certain. Kody Brown has emerged as its most compelling figure, and her next chapter might just deserve
at it. But yes, of course, everything was very good in that department.
So when you fought, making up was really
The cracks in the once glossy facade of Sister Wives have widened beyond repair. What was once presented as a unified family is now scattered across different states, and the physical distance has only magnified the emotional chasm. With Kody's marriages to Meri, Janelle, and Christine all but dissolved, the Brown family no longer shares the same roof, the same routines, or even the same state lines. Christine and Meri now reside in separate regions of Utah. Janelle has made a fresh start in North Carolina, while Kody and Robyn remain in Arizona, clinging to what's left of the dream they once sold to the world. The reality is hard to ignore. The heart of the show was always built around Kody's relationships with his 4 wives. Now, with 3 gone, Sister Wives is limping toward what feels like its natural conclusion. The easy, organic interactions that made the show captivating are no longer possible with the family so far apart. Viewers are no longer invested in Kody and Robyn's carefully curated life. Their interest has shifted almost entirely to his ex-wives, whose independent journeys have become the real stories worth following. For some fans, the message is clear. It's time for the original series to gracefully bow out, even if spin-offs could still explore the Browns' new chapters separately. The family has never shied away from putting their personal struggles in front of the cameras, from financial disputes to emotional betrayals. But there's one intimate detail they've avoided discussing in depth: what happened to the wedding rings. These bands were once symbols of unity, commitment, and shared dreams. Now they carry a different story, one of control, favoritism, and quiet rebellion. Kody's marital history is well documented. He first wed Meri in 1990, followed by a spiritual union with Janelle in 1993, and another with Christine in 1994. In 2010, he legally married Robyn after divorcing Meri to adopt Robyn's children. That same year, Sister Wives premiered, portraying a hopeful and modern take on plural marriage. But the optimism didn't last. Over the years, power imbalances, jealousy, and neglect chipped away at the relationships. Christine was the first to walk away in 2021, citing a loss of respect and connection. Janelle followed in 2022, revealing they had been separated for months. By 2023, even Meri, after years of being emotionally sidelined, finally announced her departure. Now Kody finds himself in an accidentally monogamous marriage with Robin. They've purchased a lavish $1 million home, presenting themselves as a couple entering a new, more exclusive chapter. Yet, amid all the family drama, one detail stands out: the fate of the wedding rings. Christine made her statement swiftly and silently. Her ring vanished from her finger shortly after her split from Kody. Whether she sold it, stored it, or discarded it remains a mystery. But by the time she remarried David Woolley in 2023, a brand new diamond sparkled where Kody's band once sat. Janelle, too, quietly stopped wearing her ring after their separation, offering no public explanation. Meri's case was more complex. She had shared the longest history with Kody, and leaving him was an emotional climb that only became possible after the others had gone. She never disclosed the fate of her ring, but it hasn't been seen on her hand in years. But Kody's rings tell the most revealing story of all. Season 18 viewers spotted him wearing a new wedding band, a gift from Robin. It wasn't the first time he'd made a change without telling anyone. In fact, shortly after marrying Robin in 2010, Kody stopped wearing the original ring Meri had given him in 1990. Without informing her, he had it melted down, a decision that left Meri blindsided when she eventually found out. Christine, during a tell-all, revealed the moment in detail. Kody's explanation was blunt. "I don't want Meri to have power over me anymore." In 2014, after legally marrying Robin, all the wives had come together to design a special Claddagh ring for Kody, a symbol of their plural marriage and shared identity. He wore it for years. But by 2022, the Claddagh ring had quietly disappeared, replaced once again with a design from Robin. Meri noticed immediately, but received no meaningful response when she asked about it. Only months later, she ended their spiritual marriage. To Meri, the issue wasn't just about jewelry. The melted ring and discarded Claddagh were symbols of something deeper: Kody's willingness to erase the shared history and replace it with a narrative that centered only on Robin. While he claimed the original gold was his to repurpose, the act itself felt like a power play, a subtle but cutting message that her role in his life had been deliberately reduced. These small symbolic moves are part of a bigger pattern fans have criticized for years. Kody's tendency to make unilateral decisions that favor Robin, often at the expense of the others. While Robin ended up in a spacious home purchased with Kody's help, the rest of the wives were urged to wait, to sacrifice, to build together later. Christine even sold her Las Vegas home to fund the family's move, only to be labeled selfish when she sought financial independence after leaving. Kody's handling of his wedding rings mirrors his approach to the family: control the narrative, consolidate loyalty, and prioritize one relationship over all others. The jewelry choices weren't random. They were statements. Robin was his present and future. Everyone else was history. And in the end, perhaps that's the quiet truth behind the Brown family's implosion. The rings, once meant to unite, became symbols of separation. They marked the slow erosion of trust and equality within the marriage, serving as physical proof of the emotional divisions that had long been brewing beneath the surface. So while Sister Wives may have begun as a story about unity, faith, and shared life, it now stands as a cautionary tale, and the missing rings are the perfect metaphor for what was lost along the way.